Today I'm going to discuss what to do with extruded tissue. First we'll talk about what to do if you're the assistant, and then we'll show you a little video of what you can do when you're the one doing the suturing and trying to get the extruded tissue out with no one to help you, which of course is what happens to the first assistants. The surgeon gets help, we do it by ourselves. Anyway, so if you have a large incision like on the abdomen, you're going to use either a flounder or a malleable to help close the incision. And then when you get to the end, you're going to have to switch to probably a long plain forceps or a long debakey. It doesn't really matter which one, because when you get to that point, and in surgery very frequently you'll find that you use a forceps flipped over backwards as an extension to your finger to reach areas that you couldn't reach otherwise. And you would use that by pushing it in and allowing them to get that last little bit. And you can see how, well, I'll show you on a small incision, how the same principle applies to an abdomen. So this is extruded tissue here, and as you push it in, the surgeon can then, and this is your incision here, you can see how when you push the tissue in, the surgeon can then suture over that. And this does two things: it pushes in the extruded tissue, and secondly, as the surgeon's needle goes through, especially if it's a small incision, you can't see that well, as it goes through, if it hits anything, it's going to hit the malleable or the forceps or the flounder, whatever you've put in there. And as it comes out the other end, if it was an implant, you'd have to worry about the back end of the needle hitting the implant or the back end catching the bowel. And you'd still be protecting that with having your forceps or your malleable in there. If you're doing an implant, a breast implant, I find what works best for that is if you use a empty knife handle and you have the surgical tech dip it so it's moistened, and then you can slip that in, and that will protect that implant. And that's really important to keep the surgeon from hitting that with his needle and putting a hole in the implant. So now we're going to see a little video that I made over a decade ago on what to do if you're dealing with this extruded tissue. So I apologize for the quality of the video because it's not as good as it would be if I'd shot it more recently, but it'll give you an idea of what you can do and how you handle it to take care of it. This is extruded tissue. When you have something bulging through, there's a couple little tricks that help bring the tissue in. Put that stitch in, you pull up with the forceps, kind of use the back of the needle sometimes to push the tissue away if I needed to. Once you get the stitches in, if you pull up on the skin incision as you're tying the knot, it pulls the skin edges up and lets the tissue that's extruding through fall back and away, and then the skin edges will come together nicely. This took a little while for me to learn.